Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, March 13th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and Matt Robinson with you, ready to break down the Thursday card and a big Thursday NHL slate on tap. A day like this and tomorrow as well, it's always one of the more difficult shows for me to do because I got a million college basketball games on in front of me and money riding on a lot of them. But we will try to maintain focus and focus on the great sport that is hockey here on this day, as we always do on the Ice Guys show. So let's get into the recap of last night. It began with a very entertaining game, if you loved offense, between the Buffalo Sabres and Detroit Red Wings, and it was the game of the night for me from a betting perspective because we damn near swept the board with Detroit Buffalo. Everything that we said would happen in that game pretty much came through. We said it had to be a spot for Detroit to jump on the board, score early in the game. And that's exactly what they did. Not one, not two, but three first-period goals from the Detroit Red Wings after giving up the first goal. They then got three after that. So that was a wonderful result. First period over. I know Perlo, who did a great job on the show yesterday, had both teams to score in the first period. I, of course, had the best bet was Detroit team total over 1 in the first period. And I said sprinkle on that over 1.5 team total in the first period with Detroit. That was plus 230. So to be able to hit that was great. Just a great result there. And for Detroit, good job by them. They had to have it. You're already in tough, as far as making the playoffs. You cannot lose a home game against, the Buffalo Sabres, and expect to be a playoff team. So it was a hugely important game for them. And they got the job done against the Sabres, exploded offensively. And that's another thing I've mentioned a lot. When a team has 50 shots and gets stonewalled by Linus Ullmark like they did against Ottawa, a lot of times the floodgates open the next game. The goals that didn't go in against Ottawa, they went in last night. So a 7-3 win for Detroit. It got a little nasty at the end, a little line brawl down the stretch there, and even Tage Thompson getting into it as well. But Detroit with the 7-3 win there over the Buffalo Sabres. And what a night for a lot of their best players offensively. I mean, Dylan Larkin had 3 assists. Mark Casper, the friendly betting ghost, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. The Cat, DeBrincat, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. And, of course, Sir Patrick Kane. It was indeed showtime last night in the Motor City. 2 goals, 3 assists, 5-point night. Could you imagine if you took the 5 points prop on Patrick Kane last night? That would have cashed at quite the nice plus price there. So huge win for Detroit. We'll see if that galvanizes them moving forward. Vancouver, who had Quinn Hughes back in the lineup. And even though I think he wasn't at his best last night, just having him on the ice, look at the emotional lift it gave the Vancouver Canucks. And they get a big-time win, 4-3 in a shootout against the Calgary Flames last night. And now they are even in points for that last wild card spot in the Western Conference. So a nice win by Vancouver. How great does Connor Garland continue to be? Of course, he gets the shootout winner for Vancouver. Small in stature, but oftentimes plays big. And he's been doing that for Vancouver. Huge win for them to get the job done there against the Calgary Flames last night. The 2 late games, Utah 3-2 against Anaheim. This was really frustrating for me because we had over by Fecta and Utah team total over, which falls just short in that one, 3-2. Utah shoots Anaheim 39-21. All things considered, it really wasn't that bad of a performance from Husso. Actually pretty solid, all things considered. Hadn't played in a while, hasn't had a great year, but was able to keep Utah at bay to the point where they only won by a goal and kept Anaheim in the game. But Utah gets an important win as they try to stay alive in the playoff race, 3-2. And then just utter insanity in Seattle last night with the Canadiens and the Kraken. And all I can say is thank goodness we split it with the team total on Montreal, because to have it all on the money line would have been just crushing. But just a horrific loss for the Montreal Canadiens, who had a 4-2 lead at one point. And I don't know whether it was running out of gas. Well, penalty trouble, too. I mean, Seattle got 2 power play goals after it was 4-2 Montreal to tie it, and then a set play off the faceoff, right off the opening faceoff in overtime, and Brandon Montour bursts in all alone and rifles a shot over the glove hand of Jakub Dobiš, who I actually think he played well, even though he gave up 5 goals and they lost. Could have been a lot worse if not for Jakub Dobiš, because in the first period, even in the second period, if it was not for him, it could have been 3-0 Seattle early in the game. So thankfully, the goalie kept them in it, and Montreal does get a point, but they still had 2 points right there on the table, up 4-2 in the third period. Could not bring that game home. And Seattle with one hell of a comeback win, 5-4, beating Montreal in overtime. And quickest goal, I believe, in NHL history in overtime as well. 4 seconds is all it took for Brandon Montour to win it. Alex, your thoughts on Wednesday?
That was a game that was just kind of disappointing, but once again, you're grateful for live betting, because as soon as I can't really remember how do you pronounce the kid's name who scored his first goal in his first game?
Nyman.
Nyman. Yeah. As soon as he scored, I just had this gut feeling like that Habs are going to blow this. So I ended up grabbing plus 220. I somehow was able to grab minus 115 in the time between the end of the third period and, like you said, the 4 seconds of overtime. So that did bail. I was able to bail myself out with that. But that's just one of those spots where, like you said, a team on the road, just the legs kind of go underneath them. And kudos to Perlo. He called that on point. Exactly what happens. And that's something you'll see, this time of year. The wear and tear of the entire season at this point. Now we got 20 games left amongst everyone, where these long road trips way heavier now than they did November and December. And so you'll start to see within a long trip, teams just completely bottom out in a game that they seem to be controlling for the first 20 or 30 minutes of play. So that's where live betting comes to our advantage. That's the beauty of that. And that's the beauty of having our bet cast and having the chat and the Patreon as well.
Yeah, I get the joke from Matt in the chat. He is Finnish, so yeah, you never know. He might end up in Dallas because of that someday. They all end up there at some point, apparently. Matt, what do you think of last night? If we can hear you, that is. Up, we're still at. Uh-oh. The gremlins of audio, man, have attacked you. Live television, folks, as I always like to say. Yeah.
Did that work?
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
We're good.
Yeah. I got a new headset for work, and I've been having some issues. But what's weird is it was showing when I was testing it before the show, like before I joined in, that it was working. So, oh well, glad it's working now. But yeah, when I saw Nyman score, I was like, oh, that sounds kind of Finnish. Saw that he's a big 6'2", 2004 birth year from Finland, and I was like, oh, he'll be in Dallas by 2027, 2028, something like that.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, didn't have a ton last night hockey wise, as you mentioned, and I know it's taken up some of your time. There's a lot of good basketball on. Currently watching my alma mater, the Hogs. They're kind of coming back in it in that game against Ole Miss in the second round of the SEC tournament, but didn't have a lot hockey wise. But I actually had a little sweep, thanks to you, Ian, in the text chat. In those 2 later games after the first period, you said you were jumping on goal in first 10 and first period over in both the Kraken game and the Ducks Utah game. All 4 of those bets hit. I had to do them separately, but that was a nice little. Like, I just jumped on Twitter and was like, okay, I'll jump in. Both games were 1-0 after one, and so those were nice hits. So. Nice on that part, but yeah, didn't watch a ton last night. Obviously saw the Red Wings, put up a touchdown. It was 0.9 Detroit, so that was good to see anyone that had the over. But yeah, pretty good 9-game card coming up. So just looking forward to some hockey tonight.
Indeed, and it is a nice card. It's a 9-game card. We've had bigger cards, believe it or not, on Thursday than this, but still a pretty good one. And we will begin in. Yeah, exactly. We got Vegas and Columbus first up. Vegas minus 195 road favorites. The total here 6.5, shaded to the under here in this game. This is for me, when I see the Jackets getting this kind of price, I don't care who they're playing at this point. Hell, I went against Matty Rob's Dallas Stars in a game with the Columbus Blue Jackets at home at Nationwide Arena, getting a price like this and splitting it between the money line and the team total. That's exactly what I'm doing here. Vegas to me on the road laying this kind of price, no thank you. Columbus is coming off a disappointing last couple of games here of this road trip. Oh, well, I shouldn't say last couple, but overall 3 of the 4 they dropped. The 2 games in Florida against the Lightning and the Panthers. They did beat the Rangers, and then they lose to the New Jersey Devils, but they're back home where they're at their best. They've had a great run at Nationwide Arena. They've played well. Vegas just a little too flighty for me on the road of late. And look, I know that the only fear here is they lost to Pittsburgh the other night, so Vegas is going to take this game seriously. But to me, there's just too much value on Columbus to pass up. So for me, it's going to be a split here, plus 170 money line Columbus, and I'm going to split that with team total over 2.5 at minus 130. Alex, what do you think here? Vegas, Columbus.
Yeah, I'm gonna lay it with the team total on the 2.5, but I'm gonna wait on Columbus money line, and it wouldn't shock me one bit if Vegas gets the first goal of the game, and now we're talking about Columbus at plus 270, almost 3-1 price. So that's my mode of attack, but I do think Columbus will get goals here. This should be a competitive game, and Blue Jackets, we talk about home road dichotomy. There's none bigger really than Columbus. So it's a completely different team, and the books aren't really catching on that, and we can kind of use that to our advantage. This is maybe a bit of an inflated price for Columbus at home, where if this was at T-Mobile Arena, plus 165, plus 170 would make a little more sense. So I understand betting money line, but I'm just going to wait for it.
Yeah, as far as I get that for sure. Fantilli props, Kent Johnson props. Yeah, Matthew Olivier, you got to bet him right now. This is insane what he's doing offensively for the Columbus Blue Jackets. First of all, it's insane what he's done all season offensively because everyone thought of him as just a heavyweight that throws his fists for a living in the NHL. This guy can play hockey. I see it. He's got better hands than you think. He's got better offensive instincts than you think. He does all the right things to score goals. He goes to the front of the net. He creates problems for the opposing goalie. He's got 4 points and 3 goals in the last 2 games, Matthew Olivier. So, you ride the wave right now. Werenski's a point-producing machine at home. I get what Aaron's looking at there with his props, of course. Werenski goal, assist especially. Probably the 2 points prop, as Robert says, is worth a look because he's been okay on the road. He's just been at a different level. Werenski at home, kind of mirroring the hockey team that he plays for, the Columbus Blue Jackets. So definitely some things to look at there in that game from a prop standpoint. For Vegas, I'm going to repeat the same players I have. Tanner Pearson, again, I've mentioned him a few times, but that's because he's up on the top line. So there is still value with him playing with Eichel and Stone. Dorofeyev, Hurdle, Saad's been a pretty decent line. So those are some of the considerations I would look for on the Vegas side. Dorofeyev's actually started to pick things up.
And I was going to mention when you said Matthew Olivier, and last night, as you mentioned with Tage Thompson, 2 examples of where you can say that guys who score, they can also be able to fight too. There's no reason you can't do both.
You have to be able to do both at this day and age in the NHL. There's no Bob Probert anymore that's just there, for mostly enforcing. You got to be able to play hockey, and that's with all due respect. Unfortunately, Bob, was a kind of a limited.
He had scoring touch at the beginning of his career too, though. Stop forget, he scored 40 goals with Detroit back in the day. So
it did, and even in junior, it goes back to where he was pretty productive. But the NHL level, it kind of dissipated. Stu Grimson, same thing. He just didn't get a lot of offense.
You can do both. And I'm saying that more for the scorers. I love seeing Tage Thompson. That I was hoping Patrick Kane might have dropped the gloves in that mini ball. I think that's cool. I think it's great to see guys who are top line, top tier guys getting the scuffles every now and then.
That's great. I do. I love that. Buffalo should be pissed off. You got embarrassed on national TV. I know you're not going to the playoffs. It's not like that's going to, spur you on to a run to make the playoffs. It's too little, too late. You're too far behind, but it's at least nice to show because this team's actually been getting criticized for not sticking up for one another and not showing any physical pushback when things don't go well or when opposing players on the other team take liberties with some of their better players. But they finally showed some team. Let's come together. As a hockey club last night with what we saw at the end of that game against Detroit. All right, Matt, what do you think here? Vegas, Columbus.
So I was just looking in Columbus's last 5 wins, 2 have been at home, 2 have been on the road. And then obviously the Stadium Series was sort of a home game. It was in their backyard, but it's considered a neutral site. But all 5 of those wins, they've actually hit the puck line. So I'm going to go reverse Columbus Blue Jackets puck line, plus 360, plus 365 is where I'm seeing it at. So I think if you like Columbus, take them to win by 2. Why not? So get that juicy price. So I think that'll be what I'll take on this game. I
All
just
right,
can't trust Vegas on the road. Obviously, they lost to Pittsburgh, which is not a team you want to lose to at this point in the year. They're just too spotty on the road. If this was in Vegas, I'd have a different feeling about it, but Columbus has been hot at home, so we'll take Columbus reverse puck line.
That's so Matt's going one step further here with the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're already plus 170 or so on the money line, but going with that alternative puck line here on the Columbus Blue Jackets, and that price is upwards of, we're looking at plus 320 on that Columbus alternative puck line. So pretty good price there with that. All right, Boston and Ottawa next up. Senators minus 195 home favorites. 5.5 being the total in this game. This is a big matchup now because here's come the Boston Bruins, where we basically were already, many of us, lowering the casket, sprinkling the ashes, getting the urn ready on this Boston Bruins team. And yet here they are now since the trade deadline. Beat Tampa Bay, and what a win for them, of course, against the Florida Panthers the other night. Defended hard, played hard. Swayman made big saves. They didn't give up, no quit. They were down in that game, came back in the third period and won. And now this patchwork roster, and it is still a patchwork roster, but they're playing hard, and oftentimes will can beat skill, and effort can, and just outworking the other team can win you games. And we've seen that from Boston in the 2 victories against the Lightning and the Panthers. So got to be impressed. And they're suddenly just 2 points behind Columbus, 5 points behind the team they're playing tonight, Ottawa, for those 2 wildcard spots. That being said, I'm concerned for Boston here. Now, you're going on the road, a big win like that. Are you able to maintain it, sustain it here tonight against the Ottawa Senators, who, of course, are coming off back-to-back wins, Detroit at home in that big playoff feel type of game. And then, of course, we saw the win against the Philadelphia Flyers as well the other night, where they got the job done, even though it was a tough back-to-back spot. Still able to get the job done in that one, where it was the Ottawa Senators. They're playing well. They're going to have Linus Ullmark starting in net for them against his old team. You know what I mean? Is Boston going to be able to keep doing this night in and night out? They beat 2 really good teams, but they're facing another tough one here. Linus Ullmark's going to be probably dialed in and chomping at the bit to play and beat his former team here, the Boston Bruins, in this game. They played each other, of course, 3 times previously this year. Ottawa won in a shootout 6-5 at home in January. Boston shut them out just a few days later in the rematch 2-0. And then very early in the season, Ottawa got a 3-2 win in overtime against Boston. That was Ullmark's first start back against his old team, the Bruins, in Boston, and he was able to get the win. I just feel Ottawa probably wins this game, but it's not easy to lay a price like this or endorse Ottawa against a Boston team that's playing their guts out here in the first couple games after all those deals, jettisoning all those veterans. And it's just a big price here with Ottawa. I just get that feeling, though, Ottawa does win. I don't want to step in front of them or Linus Ullmark getting this start. I could see this being a Boston team total under 2.5 in this one. He only gave up 2 goals to the Bees, Linus Ullmark, when he started against them way back early in the season in November. Obviously, we saw what he did against Detroit in his last start. He was absolutely spectacular. 48 saves on 49 shots, a 2-1 win over Detroit, all because of Ullmark. So I'm leaning to the team total over for Ottawa, and I'm leaning toward the team total under for Boston. I kind of feel like I would rather play each of those, and worst case scenario, we split. It's kind of the way I think this one will play out. Swayman, by the way, is confirmed in net tonight for the Boston Bruins. But like I said, Boston's been impressive, but I think it's a little bit of a tricky ask for them to continue it tonight. It's just you're not getting value with Ottawa. So, again, a game I'm not overly fond of, but we'll throw out leans to the team total up and over for Ottawa, the team total under for Boston here in this one. Alex, what do you think here, Bruins, Senators?
I'm keeping this game simple and just going with the draw here. He says this is a game where, like I said, Boston's been playing hard and they can push a team like Ottawa. And like I said, Ottawa definitely needing the points. So this is one where it's tied late that I don't see too much of a pushback until it goes past regulation. So give me the draw here.
Yeah, I actually am gonna bet that. I just realized 2 of the 3 meetings here this year did go to overtime. Two of the 3, and the only one that didn't was 2-0, and I think it was an empty net goal that got it to 2-0, or that was that close to being a third straight Bruins Sens game this year that went to overtime. So
You get plus
draw,
350. That's a great price.
yeah,
This time of year.
draw. I think I'm gonna put that makes I could see it happening because look, Boston's playing hard. This to me is not long-term sustainable. I mean, I think once this little period, unfolds where they're just, playing their guts out and trying to show, hey, we'll show you guys. You think we're nothing without Brad Marchand and Charlie Coyle and all these guys we traded away? I think you're going to see a fall off at some point, but until you see it, you don't want to go unload the bankroll stepping in front of it. Matt, what do you think here, Boston, Ottawa?
So I do like the Ottawa team total here. Obviously, I'm not going to back Ottawa at minus 195 given how Boston has played. But the bigger play for me here, just given this season's series in Ottawa, obviously 2 unders in Boston, but the last game in Ottawa was 6-5. So I think I'm going to take a shot with the over by Fecta here. Both teams playing hard. Both teams need points. I know, you could make the argument both goalies will try and show out. But I could see this being a 1-1 game after the first, and then kind of playing from there. So I don't think it'd be too hard to get to that 6. So that's something I like in this one.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, as far as props in this one, Pinto, I think Pinto's worth a look for the Ottawa Senators. He obviously, I think, got on the board for them the other night against Philadelphia. Yes, he got the empty netter. Good call with David Perron earlier this week against Detroit. Alex used that as a bargain bin special. He's with Cousins and Batherson. You got to bet Cousins again, too. Dylan Cousins has got his feeling it right now for this Ottawa Senators team. It's like a breath of fresh air. It's like absolutely new life for him now as a member of the Senators, and he's proven it with the goal and the assist production he's had since joining Ottawa. So his props are worth a look as well, in my opinion. I think for Boston, we talked about Morgan Geekie a lot on that top line with Zacha and Pasternak. Obviously, I think they're pretty good candidates. He's a pretty good candidate as well, maybe to find the back of the net here as well. St. Louis, Pittsburgh. We got the Blues minus 135, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Finally, we saw some movement because this was actually even money when it first opened yesterday. Actually, St. Louis was a slight underdog. Then it became St. Louis a slight favorite. Overnight, they were still only minus 110, minus 115. And now we've seen this price go up to minus 130, minus 1. That's a little more like it. I jumped in on St. Louis early. This is your Philadelphia-Ottawa game from the other night, in my opinion, where we were looking at that. We were like, why the fuck is Ottawa minus 115 against this reeling Philadelphia team? I know it's a back-to-back, but it should be a little bit more of a road favorite for the Sens in that spot than that. And Ottawa won pretty, you didn't have to sweat it. Ottawa got the job done. I think that's the way this goes. Now, I know Pittsburgh's won 2 in a row. They beat Minnesota. They beat Vegas their last 2 games. And there is some truth to the fact that new life for Tristan Jarry in net. He's played very solid, but he's going to be matched by Jordan Binnington tonight for the St. Louis Blues, who has been he was great at the Four Nations and has kept his strong play going for the St. Louis Blues coming out of the Four Nations tournament. A Blues team that has been playing pedal to the metal hockey, great hockey. And they're actually coming off a loss against LA in overtime to end the western portion of that road trip that they had. And that was on Saturday. So they've had a nice 4 days to basically take their time getting back to the East, getting back to Pittsburgh, trying to bounce back off that loss, and I think they will do just that. So, yeah, I got St. Louis money line overnight. It was minus 115 in that range at the time. I'm also going to split it up with team total over 3.5, but this time I've got a little more on the money line than I do the team total because Jarry has been solid here these last couple starts. So maybe it's one of those 2-1, 3-1 wins here for the St. Louis Blues. But, yeah, St. Louis for me, money line primarily and a smaller bet with the team total over. Alex, what do you think here? St. Louis, Pittsburgh.
So yeah, I grabbed minus 115 like everybody else in the chat seemingly did last night. But this is one where I would recommend regulation, but I've been getting burned on some of these regulation bets. Happened again last night. I liked Calgary in regulation. The game goes to a shootout. So take at your own risk. I do like St. Louis to win this game. It should be within 60, but maybe wait live if you can't. 135 is a fair price to lay, but you could possibly wait because, like I said, I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be lifeless and get shut out here. So maybe wait for a Pittsburgh goal and then try and grab a St. Louis at a cheaper price.
All right, there you go. Good stuff indeed. Matt, what about you here? Blues, Pens.
I think the only way I'd look here is Blues. Now that it's minus 135, I don't think I'll jump on it. I could make a case for the three-way. But again, to your point, Jari did finally have a bounce back game. Is he back? I don't know. It's quick to make the assumption he is, but if he is, he is. So this will probably be a pass game for me. I could see it being a 3-1 game either way. If Jari plays lights out, I could see Pittsburgh getting a win. If he's, back to his old ways, I think St. Louis kind of cruises to a win, but I don't know if I love the over. So if anything, probably a pass game for me here. Maybe a Blues 3-way line.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, again, it's you're right. That's a good point, Isex. Binnington versus Mike Sullivan again. Yeah, Mike Sullivan gets to see Jordan Binnington again. Obviously hoping for a different result this time around, but like I said, he's playing well right now for this Blues team. And like I say, for the Blues, there's a lot of players playing well offensively. That's why they've had a good run here under Jim Montgomery to at least get themselves right back into the playoff mix. Yeah, Holloway is one of them. Dylan Holloway goes without saying. But Zach Bolduc is someone that's been starting to step up for them, for the St. Louis Blues as well. Even though he's on the third line, he's been picking up some offensive contributions lately for them as well. And obviously for Pittsburgh, Crosby and Raquel, kind of been the catalysts for this Penguins team. So it's hard to look at anyone but those two as far as any props on the Penguins side of the equation right now. All right, next up as we continue along here on this big Thursday card, we've got, as we roll along here, it is just waiting for the screen to refresh here. Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. We have the Lightning minus 150, road favorites. The total in this game sitting at 5.5, shaded to the over in this one. I am going to be badly wounded from a profitability standpoint on this NHL betting card tonight if Tampa lays another clunker, because I think this has to be the spot for them to explode and get things kind of perking up again here after these last two games against Carolina, and of course before that against the it was Carolina and Boston on Saturday, that national TV game. It was just dreadful what we saw from the Tampa Bay Lightning there in that one. Philadelphia is a wounded bear right now. We've got Ersson, who's going to be in net for the Philadelphia Flyers in this game. I like Ersson, but what I don't like is kind of the way he's played these last few games. He's kind of in one of those funks again. And now, again, it's not all on him. The team hasn't been very good defensively, clear as day. But I think when you look at this Philadelphia team, there's all kinds of issues. They're struggling. They're not getting saves consistently. The defense has kind of waned again on them. That's concerning for me. And I know there's some concerns for Tampa. These two losses, it's not good. That Carolina game was not good. The way they played, the offense is dried up. I mean, that's shocking to see them just with one goal in the last two games. They've got Nikita Kucherov under the weather with that illness, and his game-time decision here for this game tonight. We'll have to wait and see if he plays. And Jonas Johansson might start, not Andrei Vasilevsky here tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But that's why we're getting Tampa Bay reasonably in this game. And Johansson has not played like that, straight fade that he's been at times in the past. And at Philadelphia, to me, is a team he can handle. Let's not forget, this guy's made one start since Four Nations against a Columbus team, despite their road issues. I like Columbus more than I like Philly right now. 2 goals allowed on 33 shots. He played pretty solid, 6-2 Tampa win when Johansson was in net. So I'm going to go with Tampa money line split with team total. I already bet it. I think it's a spot where, even with the concerns, this is a chance for them to kind of rise up here and get the job done against a Philadelphia team that has just been flatlining here these last few games. Alex, what do you think here? Tampa Bay, Philly.
Give me all of the goals here. I have goal in first 5 minutes at plus 168. First period over 1.5 minus 130. First period, both teams to score plus 154, and I went over 5.5 late the 130 with that.
I could see it.
I would endorse over 6 minus 105 as well.
Yep.
Aronson and the Flyers, like you said, the defense, they've been absolutely wretched. This should be the game where Tampa Bay gets things rolling offensively. But you have way more faith in Jonas Johansson than I do. He's going to give.
It's because it's Philly. It's because it's Philly. I think this is the one team he can actually look good against, and he did play well against.
He should. It's a spot where he should.
Yeah.
But he could still easily give up 3 goals and look good. Yeah. That's the other thing too. It's like I think Tampa's offense. So Tampa team total. You can look and ladder that in my opinion.
I do like that more than money line. Yeah. The Tampa.
They can name their price. They should be able to name their price against Philly the way they're playing defensively right now. But I'm not. I can't take that money line with Tampa though. I think I just want to stay with all goals. Yeah.
I mean, they've lost 5 in a row. They've been absolutely awful, and they have given up 6-4, 4-3, and 5 during this 5-game losing streak. So I think Tampa gets to 4. There's no question. That over, look, you need Philly to contribute. The one thing about Philly is we talked about how Tampa's got only 1 goal the last 2 games combined, 5 goals in the last 4 games combined for Philly. But they might face you, and say what you will. I think Johansson is a manageable matchup for him, but he's still not as good as Vasilevsky. So, give me 2, Philadelphia. Give me 2 or even 3. I think Tampa's going to get the 4, and there's your over. So I understand the over looks here in this game. More of it's concentrated for me, though, on Tampa Bay. Matt, what do you think here, Lightning Flyers?
Yeah, so I'm big on Tampa as well. I think this is kind of a comeback game for them. So I'm going to split it up and do team total over 3.5 and the puck line. I think asking them to win by 2 is not asking for much with how Philadelphia has been playing, even at home. And then as far as the overs, I know that on some books it's up to 6. I know Alex mentioned I would still take it at 6, but I think this is a perfect game for a Matty Rob special. First period over 1.5, full game over 5.5. Let's get 3 or 4 in the first and then kind of cruise to that 6 number and get the hit. That's going to be plus 130 on BetMGM right now. So lean Tampa, obviously. Not a lot of value on the money line. Do I think they win? Yes, but Tampa Bay team total and the puck line splitting up on that, and then the same game parlay. That'll be my 4 plays or 3 plays in this one.
Another thing too is that even if Philly scores 2 or less, because if it's Johansson and net, that's going to really get Tampa to focus on, hey, we got to score tonight. Let's score some more goals. Let's get our offense going. Because remember, they put up 6. And that's another thing that's helped Johansson this year. When he's gotten his starts, I went back and looked. He's gotten a lot of run support, quote unquote, in a lot of his starts this year. So when Johansson's been, it's almost like we got to score more goals, boys. No Vasi tonight. So that's something to factor in when you get this kind of situation here with the Lightning and the Flyers here tonight. All right, next up here, we've got Florida. This is obviously one of the games of the night. This is a first-place battle in the Atlantic Division. Doesn't get much better than this. Panthers and Leafs. Florida minus 135, road favorites. The total here in this game sitting at 5.5, shaded to the over in this game. This is my draw look that I like. I think definitely we've got potential for OT here in this game. Now, Toronto's off the road trip. Not always a good bet on spot. That is for sure. But, you got this Florida team that's dealing with some injuries, that's a little bit banged up. Ekblad, Matthew Tkachuk, still out indefinitely long-term. Brad Marchand's nowhere close to making his Florida Panthers debut. We'll have to see how this one plays out, but it's been a very hotly contested series. Aaron's already speaking to the fact that it's been a draw-dominated series as well between these teams. To me, it's tough from a side perspective. They're betting Florida, and I know Florida's off the loss to Boston. I have no doubt Florida will play hard and play better tonight. But now minus 135 road favorites on the road. Toronto at home, it does have a pretty good home record this year. And I like how Joe Bowen on the great legendary. He is one of I think in my lifetime, one of the better radio voices in the entire sport, Joe Bowen. He is that good. He's done it for 40 years for the Leafs. He is begging Scotiabank Arena patrons tonight at this game. Make noise. Get off your ass. Get this team charged up and fire them up if things are kind of going Florida's way and they're kind of taking the play to Toronto. Get loud was his message on Twitter from Joe Bowen, the legendary voice of the Leafs. And he's 1,000% right. How many times in a big spot do we have to hear this crowd sound like a tea party at Scotiabank Arena? So, yeah, he's 100% right. This team's got to get loud in the big games like tonight, when you're battling a team that you're battling with for first in the Atlantic. And we've talked about this for weeks, Alex and I. This first in the Atlantic, it's most years it's like, all right, if we win the division, great. If not, we're still in the playoffs. This is a big deal because there's a big drop-off in who you're going to play from a strength of opponent standpoint, from winning the division to not winning the division and having to deal with, a Tampa or a Florida or a Toronto in the first round. You get to take your chances with who? Montreal, Ottawa, Columbus, one of those. And that's not to disrespect them. It's just on paper they're not nearly as strong as the Florida teams or Toronto. So from that standpoint, that's why it's so important to win the Atlantic Division this year for the Stanley Cup playoffs, just based on who you will be facing in the first round. So the draw for me is the only thing I've got side or total pregame. Alex, what do you think here? Panthers, Leafs.
Yeah, it's a great message by Bowen, but it's pretty sad when your radio announcer has to make a call for you to put down the phone and put down the seltzer and put down the hummus and make some fucking noise at a hockey game. That's unacceptable. It should just be natural instinct.
People that litter that crowd. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And you know that shouldn't even be an excuse because on the north side of Chicago there's a baseball team that I can't stand, and a bunch of suits take their fucking ties off and make noise at 1:20 on a weekday. Okay, and support their team. So no, Leafs fans have no excuse. The wine and cheese crowd has no excuse to show up. And like I said, it's a huge game. You need your team to win the division this year because you don't want to run through the same shit. You want to get knocked out in 6 games by Tampa Bay again? I'd love to see that, but I'm sure they wouldn't. Make some fucking noise. Be a true fan and support the club. I'm right there with you on the draw. That's the only thing I got.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think I agree with what you said about the crowd, and I agree with you on the draw as well in this game. And obviously, this is not a shock at all. This is the former goalie mates will face off tonight head-to-head. Sergei Bobrovsky and, of course, the former member of the Florida Panthers, Anthony Stolarz, who will get the start tonight against his old team for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, exactly. They're owned by corporate seats. That's what it is. I mean, Joe Bowen can scream to the heavens, make more noise. Those people aren't making more noise. They haven't made more noise in 20 years in that building since it's opened. And I don't think it's going to, the business folks, the suits. So I don't think it's going to start now. Maddie, what do you think here? Florida, Toronto.
Yeah, it's funny. I can relate to that. I know there was an era in Dallas that the lower bowl was just people on corporate, on corporate tickets with clients.
So
people aren't watching the game. Huh? Oh, yeah, it was bad for a while. In that there was a stretch that Dallas wasn't very good. They'd make the playoffs.
Post Madonna, post the Belfour era, right? Like mid 2000s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had one good run, maybe in like 2008. But after that, there was a few years of stretch. But it's definitely gotten better. But I know I have some buddies in Toronto, and they say the same thing. Like if you buy good tickets, you're sitting around a bunch of quiet Sallies, and then if you're in the nosebleeds, that's where the real fans exist. So it's almost better to save money and just hang out up top. But yeah, I think obviously this is going to be a great game. I don't have a lot here. There's a couple props I'm kind of considering that I may mention later, but to be honest, this is a game that I want to watch and not a lot that I want to bet. I just, I could see Florida going in and winning. I could see Toronto playing well at home. I could see this being.
I could see under over
a high scoring game. I could see it being 2-1. Yeah. So I don't dislike the draw. I think that's a great look. I don't take a lot of draws, but I think this is one you could probably talk me into. But yeah, outside of maybe a couple props later on, I don't think I've got anything on this game.
I would honestly lean, and I prefer overs, but I honestly probably think if you had to ask me, I think this could be an under. I think Bobrovsky's, going to want to bounce back after the third period against Boston, and he's capable of it. And I think Stolarz is going to really want to play well against his old team, and we know he's capable of it. He's had a great season, so could be a goalie battle potentially here in this one. Here it is. I'm going to find it and see if I can put it on the screen. But there it is. There it is. Maple Leafs fans, the playoffs start tomorrow night from Joe Bowen versus Florida. We need you in full voice and behind the lads. Take the roof off the bank. There you go. I mean, basically imploring them, make noise. Like, do what you're supposed to do at a hockey game. That's basically what he's saying right now to the masses. So that's how bad it is with how quiet it can be in that building at times, that we've got the radio voice of the Leafs saying, make noise, which should be the first thing it comes to mind that you would do when you're in your seats at a hockey game. But we'll see what kind of environment it is and if that has any effect. I'm not holding my breath. As far as props for this game, you look at the Florida side. Mackie Samoskevich, return of the Mac. It is Mackie Samoskevich. I definitely think he's worth a look. I mean, he's starting to get more ice time, second line with Sam Bennett and Evan Rodriguez. I think that's worth a shot. Carter Verhaeghe, I believe, is right from the area. Burlington, if I'm not mistaken, just down the road from Toronto. So I could see Carter Verhaeghe's been kind of a Leaf menace in the past. So I could see him maybe finding the back of the net for the Panthers here tonight as well. And then on the Leaf side, Matthew Nyes. And because he's up on the second line, I think he's worth a shot here tonight for the. And Scott Lawton's. Has Scott Lawton played a home game yet? Neither has Brandon Carlo since the trade. But Scott Lawton might be worth a look. His first game. He's another local kid. But I'm also going to go with. He scored the other night against. I think it was in the Utah game. He scored playing with Tavares and Nylander. I'm going back to Cali. Good value with Cali Yarncroke for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Second line here tonight for them. Wouldn't shock me if he finds the back of the net. And like I said, you're getting a good price there. All right, Edmonton and New Jersey. We've got the Oilers minus 135 road favorites, total 6 in this game across the board. I said New Jersey was in big-time trouble, obviously, with the Dougie Hamilton injury, the Jack Hughes injury. Jonas Siegenthaler, one of their best defensemen, is still out. And now the confirmation today, guys, it's going to be out for the rest of the regular season and a good chunk of the playoffs for Dougie Hamilton. On top of Jack Hughes already been ruled out for the rest of the season. And Siegenthaler might miss playoff time as well. This is just a situation that I think for New Jersey. Is this the game where they kind of, oh my God, we knew these guys were going to be out for a while. Now they're going to be out for a really long time. I think it sets out Edmonton off the loss to Buffalo at home where they hit 1 million posts. I think this is an Edmonton spot to bounce back here. I'm going to go Oilers and team total over split here, small, but I'm going to go with an over bifecta here. I think New Jersey's found a little offensive rhythm without Jack finally, and Dougie for that matter. And I know it was Columbus, and Columbus gives up goals against, teams on the road. But, to see New Jersey get the puck in the net, the way they did against Columbus, I think that's a good sign. And look, Edmonton is still very, very erratic defensively. You're never ever sure what you're going to get night in and night out from them at that end of the ice, or from our guy Stuart Skinner, who is expected to be in net for Edmonton. And they get the benefit of Jake Allen in net. I shouldn't say the benefit, because he's actually played well at times for the New Jersey Devils, Jake Allen. But Jake Allen's probably going to face a better offensive team than he's seen. Let's look at Jake Allen's last few starts. He gave up 1 goal against Philly, big whoop because of Philly not scoring right now. But he gave up 5 at Colorado. He gave up 3 to Matt Robinson's Dallas Stars. He gave up 4 at Buffalo. You get my point here. The best start by far was against a team that's not scoring right now, Philadelphia. And a lot of the other teams that Jake Allen has started against lately, he's given up 3 goals or 4 goals. So I'm going to go Oilers money line split with Oilers team total over 3.5. And I'm also going to go with the over bifecta in this game, over 1.5 and over 6. New Jersey's been a first period under team, but that came to an end against Columbus the other night. That did cash a first period over. And as we know, Edmonton has been one of the best first period over teams for like the last month. Even with the first period over not cashing in their game against Buffalo the other night, still, I think it's like 17-4, something like that, first period over for the Edmonton Oilers. So over bifecta, Oilers money line, Oilers team total over for me here. Alex, Edmonton, New Jersey.
Yeah, so I will be playing a little bit on first period over pregame. I'm seeing a minus 125. Of course, I'll try and add a bit more on as I get closer to plus money in game. But then I'm going with the MGM parlay. Oilers and over 4.5 plus 120. That is a fantastic price. I like that play quite a bit. So I'm rolling with those two. Just Oilers parlay with the over 4.5, and then first period over it, playing it small pregame, adding more on in game.
Yeah, I agree with Luke Hughes. Luke Hughes is definitely, he is starting to really get all the stuff that Dougie Hamilton used to do. It's starting to look like Luke Hughes is doing that for the New Jersey Devils. Top power play, top pair, shooting the puck more ice time. His ice time now is into the 20s. He's gotten 5 points in the last 4 games. He's an assist magnet right now. He even scored a goal in the other night against Columbus. So Luke Hughes, yes, probably my favorite player prop on the New Jersey side for sure in this game tonight, even more than any of their forwards. Stefan Nason on the top line still. Cody Glass. We talk about Cody Glass repair, Cody Glass replace. He had scored a couple goals from the third line, maybe worth a look. And then for the Edmonton Oilers tonight, I probably wouldn't overcomplicate it here. I could see, their big guns coming to life because they were kind of subdued and they had a kind of bad puck luck with all those posts and crossbars the other night. So this could be a night for McDavid, Hyman, Draisaitl really to get going. This could be a night too for Draisaitl to have a big night and maybe a night to sprinkle that Draisaitl first goal tonight. We've talked about that. Draisaitl scores the first goal quite often for the Edmonton Oilers, and this could be one of those nights off the loss to the Buffalo Sabres that it happens. Good find by Aaron Jesper Bratt with good success against Edmonton. 6 goals in the last 6 games versus the Oilers. Matt, what do you think here? Edmonton, New Jersey.
Yeah, I think this is a great game for the same game parlay. So I'll be on over 1.5, over 5.5. I lean
Matty
Edmonton
Rob
here.
Special.
Yep, I lean Edmonton here. I could see New Jersey getting a little fight, being at home, but I think I'm going to stay off the sides and just take a totals bet. Hope for a lot of goals.
All right, good stuff. We move along to the Rangers, and in Alex's neck of the woods, the Minnesota Wild. We've got the pretty much even money here, -110 both sides in this game. The total sitting at 5.5 in this one. I'm on the Wild here, and I've kind of badmouthed the Wild here in recent games, but this is, to me, who do you have less faith in? Who do you have less confidence in? Right now, for me, it's the Rangers. I have less confidence in them right now at this point in time, and that was a big pick-me-up win. Did they feast on Colorado coming in late from playing Chicago at home the night before? Yeah, there's some truth to that. There's no question. The spot was in their favor, no doubt, but I don't know. I'm still not really fully trusting this New York Rangers team. Shesterkin and Gustafsson confirmed in net already. For Minnesota, they're still without Brodin, Eriksson and Kaprizov. But to get that win against Colorado is important. I guess if you're going to make the case for the Rangers, you can start with maybe Minnesota, hiccups here after the big win against Colorado the other night. But I don't think you can afford it. I also think this is a good draw candidate. I wouldn't be shocked to see this one maybe go to overtime. These two teams need points, but neither team is in the same race with the other. So this is going to be the Wild and a little bit on the draw for me here with Rangers and Wild. Alex, what do you think here, New York, Minnesota?
Yeah, just a small play here on the draw. I don't trust either one of these teams really, so I wouldn't be backing the money line on the side. And total could be a little dicey too. I could see this maybe being a tighter game. Certainly Rangers need to play tighter defensively, and we know Minnesota, if they're dictating the pace, they're not going to be pushing much offensively. They're going to be kind of playing a more possession style game. So this could be low and slow and go past regulation. Plus 310, plus 315, small sprinkle in the draw, nothing else.
I mean, I need a really good reason to bet a Minnesota game over the total right now. I mean, we even saw it with Colorado. They dragged Colorado into the mud, low scoring, muck it up game. That's the way they got to play, right? That's the way they've been playing. And we saw even the Rangers out when they went on the road at Winnipeg the other night, 2-1 game. Shesterkin played really well. Shesterkin actually has played okay the last few games. So it does make sense that this could be an under. But for me, yeah, Wild and draw split is what we're going to do here in this one. And it's just for me too. Why do I trust Minnesota a little bit more? I trust the better defensive team more. And to me, Minnesota has at least shown an ability to defend, play solidly in their own zone. We have not seen that for a very long time from the New York Rangers. They have been a disaster defensively for weeks, if not months. Matt, anything for you here? Rangers, Wild.
Not really. I think this is a tough game just because both teams haven't been in great form. I know Minnesota got the win the other night in overtime. So I would lean Minnesota here. That's probably where I would go. And you are getting a pretty good price for a team at home that is in the playoff hunt. So actually, in the last 30 seconds, I just talked to myself. I'll be on Minnesota in this one. I just think New York is in all sorts of shambles, and until I see them change that, I'm not going to bet on them. So, but I agree. I think this could be a lower scoring game. It could end up being higher scoring given New York's defense. So, but I could see it being 4-1 or something like that. So maybe just a Minnesota money line here, and that'll be it.
All right, nothing wrong with that. All right, next up, we've got the Washington Capitals and the Los Angeles Kings. Kings minus 130, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. Charlie Lindgren, very important to note this. There is a drop-off at the moment, Logan Thompson to Charlie Lindgren, and Lindgren's confirmed in net for Washington. And Darcy Kemper will face his old team. Of course, was with Washington for was with Washington last year, and now, of course, is with the member of the LA Kings now. 2 years, in fact, with Washington for Darcy Kemper. So he gets to play against his old team. So he'll be amped up for that. Washington's not an easy team to bet against. I don't think I've got the guts to bet against Washington as a dog. It's just not something. Yeah, let's fade Washington as a dog. It's just not something that piques my interest at all. That being said, LA is damn good at home. Kemper's going to want to play well. His home numbers have been really good this year, Kemper, and I could see the Kings winning this game, honestly. But I'm just not interested laying a price against Washington. I haven't been interested in laying a price against Washington all season. Why would I want to start now here tonight? PLD props make a ton of sense, 100%. I was going to go there, but you guys beat me to it. But with PLD, yeah, you know me, no doubt. Member of the LA Kings. Now, the Kings, he shouldn't feel slighted by the Kings. You played like dog shit for them. They had every right to want you out, but you still, they didn't want him anymore. He's going to come back to LA wanting to prove a point, and let's give him credit. Let's give Spencer Carberry, the likely Jack Adams Award Coach of the Year winner, credit. He's gotten more out of PLD than the last two teams combined got out of him. So you got to give Carberry credit, and it's fit well with him in Washington. He's played well. So I think he'll want to go back there and prove a point. So, yes, the PLD props, I think, for the Pierre-Luc Dubois for the Capitals tonight in his return to L.A., I do believe they are worth a look in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Caps, Kings.
Keeping it simple, going Ovi anytime goal, because that is plus money at FanDuel. I'm seeing plus 160, plus 150. And then, of course, last goal, plus 850. So this is the only thing I'm relevant.
There you go. Yeah, I don't blame people taking the Caps. I mean, I'm just not interested fading the Caps as an under. When they're at the plus sign, I either bet them or I pass. It's simple as that. Don't want to go against Washington when they're a dog. It's just, I think in this spot, you're going to get Kemper playing well. LA at home. It's actually a cheaper price on LA at home for the first time in a long time because of who they're playing tonight. So it's just going to be a stay off for me. It's a great game to watch, though. I'm very excited to tune in. It's a good late night game. We always like our late night games because we're all a bunch of hockey fanatics in our group chat. We're all up at 1 a.m. Doesn't matter what part of the country we're in. We're all up at 1 a.m. We're texting back and forth about the Seattle game last night and the Islanders game last night. And all kinds of stuff going on. So actually, it was Islanders Kings 2 nights ago, but Seattle, Montreal last night, Anaheim, Utah last night. Those 2 late games. So yeah, it's we love our late night hockey for sure. Jonathan Davis, by the way, is getting a little taste of what it's like to be an East Coast man watching the games late night because he's in Toronto on a trip. And he was talking about, I got to get used to watching the late night games, the West Coast games at midnight, 1 a.m. I said, welcome to my world. I've only been doing this my whole life. Matt, what do you think here? Washington, L.A.
Yeah, this is another good game that I don't have a ton of feel for. I could make a case for leaning L.A., but to your point, I feel like it's hard to fade Washington right now. I honestly think because of how LA's played lately, I may take a shot with the over here, and just hope for some goals. I know both teams can light it up. Both teams can shut it down. But, at 5.5, I feel like we could get to 6 here. So maybe take a shot on the over, but that's it for me.
All right, there you have it. All right, good stuff. And like I said, I like the PLD props on the Washington. Protus, how do you not bet Protus right now? This guy is on a fucking heater at the moment for the Capitals. And I'm going to go not with the Ovechkin last goal again. You know, it's always worth a shot. Jacob Chikrin, Jacob Chikrin, goal or assist. He's been good from the blue line, But Protus, you know, definitely in PLD, along with the Ovechkin last goal prop, are what I like the most for the Capitals here as far as props tonight in this one. I think LaFerriere might score tonight for LA if I were to look at someone there. He's had some chances the last few games. All right, final game of this Thursday slate. Believe it or not, don't laugh. Chicago taking on San Jose, but we've got the first meeting ever between a healthy Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini, the last two number one overall picks in the NHL. Remember, the last time they've played each other, Bedard's always been hurt. Or Bedard was hurt, I think, the first meeting, I should say, or someone was out. But now they're going to get a chance to play each other. We've got San Jose minus 125, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Alexander, the analysis is going to be short and sweet. We don't have to overcomplicate it. Alexander Georgiev, a fucking favorite over Spencer Knight? Ha! Give me Chicago plus 105. That's it. Nothing more to add. Alex, what do you think here? Chicago, San Jose.
Smart man. That's exactly where I'm going, and I'm happy. I woke up kind of concerned today because I was thinking, oh, they're still going to run this rotation. This might be an Arvid Soderblom spot, but then we got the news about 40 minutes ago that it is Spencer Knight confirmed in net. First time off of a shutout this season as well, so I will be sprinkling in game on the system play over by Facta. But I love Hawks and plus 105, and I also have team total 3 flat minus $1.05 at BetMGM. So of course you can get, like I said, off of the 2.5 to not laying 170, 175 with a 2.5. So I'll go up to 3. I got a gut feeling that this game ends 5-2 Hawks. That's just a natural gut thing. I'll probably bet that very, very small, put a $10 on it. But I think this is a good spot for the Hawks to bounce back. Like I said, it should be a fun game back and forth. Everybody looking at the like I said, the number one, Celebrini and Bedard. And I think both those guys will chip in too. But there's a bargain bin play I like for the Hawks. Does involve number 98.
Yeah, Chicago money line and team. I laid the minus 160 on it, even though it's a high price at over 2.5. That and plus 105, plus 110 here with Chicago on the money line. I also did, and I didn't mention this initially, but I'll mention it because I don't like it as much. But it is the system play. It is Chicago off a shutout loss. System play has not been nearly as effective here post Four Nations break. It is worth noting that. In fact, it's been a losing trend since the Four Nations break. So we're treading very lightly on it. I think Chicago scores because I don't think they played terribly against Colorado. It's just, that's a good team they were playing. And Wedgwood was really good. Wedgwood was making crazy Dominic Hasek type saves in that game. And Spencer Knight played really well, even though they got shut out. Could have been worse if not for him. So, like I said, Blackhawks money line and team total over, and just a smaller dabble with the over by Facta here, over 1.5 and over 6. Keep in mind, this is still 2 teams way out of the playoffs, so defense may not be a priority. So I still think we could see the over by Facta hit here in this game, because that's always a go-to for me. Late in the regular season, 2 non-playoff teams, it's over or pass for me. No one's blocking shots. No one's going the extra mile defensively. Who's blocking a shot when you're not going to the playoffs? You want to injure yourself and not be able to have that 18 holes of golf in the spring when the regular season ends? No, you want to be able to do that and enjoy your off season. So that's why the non-playoff team games this late in the season are the ones I target for overs. What do you think here, Matt? Final game, Chicago, San Jose.
I won't repeat what you just said, but couldn't agree more. Didn't work out the other night in that Nashville San Jose game, but I do think, especially with 2 superstars in this game, I think we see a lot of goals. So I'll probably split it up and do first period and full game over on this one. Might throw a little chunk of change on the same game parlay as well, but just to kind of cover my boundaries in case we get a 1-0 first and then 7 goals in the second period. At least I've got one of the 2. But yeah, I like goals in this one. I would lean Chicago. But again, with 2 teams that are out of it, you just never know. Maybe San Jose comes out hot, plays well. But yeah, for me, just goals in this one, first period and full game over.
And from a TV perspective, the vastly upgraded Hawks booth on the play-by-play side with Rick Ball instead of Vosters versus the San Jose television crew. I know in Alex's book, that's as big a fucking
no
mismatch
question, no contest.
Yeah. Duh. Figuring out that Alex felt that way about this particular situation with the broadcasts on either side. Good stuff. As far as props, yeah, there's a couple that I'm interested in here as well. You know, we've mentioned it was, and obviously they got shut out by Colorado, so nobody scored, but there's value with Colton Dock. You know, he's with Bedard tonight. It looks like the Trooper, Jason Dickinson, might be alongside Bedard on that top line. We've talked about Donato, Tara Vinen, and Mikheyev is a line that's had some decent chemistry. So they're candidates maybe for props in this game. San Jose, and plus Bedard and Macklin, because of they know they're playing each other for the first time, the last two for number one overall picks. So I would think they want to play well, make an impact. So to go with any Celebrini or Bedard props, including shots on goal. And you know I hate my shots on goal props because I always get screwed and they take shots away, and it's pissed me off for the last few years. But you think maybe Bedard tonight might rip the puck a little bit more than he normally does, given the circumstances. And you could say maybe the same thing about the Macklin Celebrini, possibly on the other side. So like I said, it's a good prop game, in my opinion, to experiment with a few things that stand out when it comes to Chicago and San Jose. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And a reminder, patreon.com/iceguys, $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And make sure you sign up before Tuesday, March 25th, the date of our next Patreon exclusive Ice Guys Live Betcast, Tuesday, March 25th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, you must be a Patreon member to tune into that Betcast and join us on the stream. So make sure you get to patreon.com/iceguys. Sign up there, just $10 per month. And again, your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You can get cool hoodies like this. There's a lot of new T-shirts and caps that are available. I'm actually going to be ordering a couple things myself from there. But we got a whole bunch of stuff in stock right now. Definitely want to check it out, especially while the weather's getting warm. It's a good time to get something new and represent the Ice Guys. And that's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
No doubt. Make sure you check out the great gear and merch, certainly, at the Ice Guys store. All right, we've got a bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgater Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Big 9-game slate to choose from. on this Thursday. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for the bargain bin special?
Let's head on out to the EA area. The San Jose taking on the Blackhawks tonight. You mentioned it. He's up on the top line. He's back and skating and hoping that he can get back to his scoring ways. It's the trooper, Jason Dickinson. You can get him anytime goal scorer. I'm seeing right now as high as plus 500 at FanDuel. So Jason Dickinson, the trooper, plus 500 anytime goal scorer for the Blackhawks tonight in San Jose. That's my Thursday bargain bin special.
All right, there it is. The Trooper, Jason Dickinson, also the name of a great Canadian rock band. Totally underrated, too, Trooper. Jason Dickinson for the Chicago Blackhawks, a bargain bin special for Alex B. Smith. Matt, what do you like here for your bargain bin?
Yeah, I'm going to go out to Toronto. I think Toronto, Florida is going to be a good game to watch. And I think, potentially some power plays. I think it's going to get chippy. It's going to be kind of a playoff vibe, but with regular season officiating. So give me Seth Jones anytime goal. He played 28 minutes the other night in the game against Boston. Obviously, with the suspension going on in Florida right now, he's getting a lot of opportunities. When he does produce, it's generally on the power play. And I think he's going to be looking to get his first goal as a Panther. So give me Seth Jones anytime goal. I'm seeing it like plus 600. That'll be my bargain bin for tonight.
Funny you mentioned plus 600. So Seth Jones plus 600 for Matt Robinson, Florida Panthers, his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night, the best price available, is also plus 600. And I'm going to go to the big man, and we talked about him, very first game on the card, Matthew Olivier for the Columbus Blue Jackets, plus 600 at BetMGM. 3 goals, I believe, the last 2 games. And this is kind of a game Vegas makes you play a hard, heavy style of game. That's the way they play. And Matthew Olivier is more than willing to play that way. So it's kind of a good fit matchup-wise that he's capable of scoring against a team like Vegas, who will obviously play a heavy forecheck physicality type of game. Olivier loves that kind of game. So Matthew Olivier, Columbus Blue Jackets, plus 600 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Thursday. I mean, wonderful best bet. If we could get anything like last night with that Detroit first period team total, we'll be happy. Alex, what do you like tonight for best bet?
Late season divisional matchup, both teams fighting for their playoff lives. This is what draw season is all about. Give me Boston, Ottawa draw plus 350 available at BetMGM. That is my Thursday best bet.
There you go. The draw with Boston and Ottawa. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Matt, best bet. What do you got?
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. I think Tampa Bay maybe needs to have a good showing, and Philadelphia has not been great, but no Vasilevsky tonight. So let's go out to Philly. Looking for 2 goals in the first period. That's all we need. Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, first period over. That'll be my best bet.
There we go. Sorry. Lightning Flyers, first period over. Best bet for Matt Robinson. And my best bet for this Thursday slate, I think I'm going to roll with, let me see here, a couple I'm back and forth with. Let's go to the late night hours. I can't justify Alexander Georgiev favored over Spencer Knight. It's really that simple. And I think Chicago plays hard, comes back strong after getting blanked by Colorado. I'll tell you what, the games that Spencer Knight has played, and even in the loss against Colorado, Blackhawks have played hard. Every single game with Spencer Knight in net. And if they play hard again and Knight plays well in net, I think they beat San Jose. We'll take Chicago plus 105 against San Jose, plus 110 actually in some spots. Chicago Blackhawks plus 110 against San Jose for my best bet here for this Thursday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. And great to have Matt Robinson back. Feels like the things are normal again. Matt Robinson on his Tuesday and Thursday with us once again. And his brother will be with us Saturday. So Ryan will be back in the house again as well. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. Matty Robinson's alma mater, Arkansas, is in a nail-biter late with Ole Miss down the stretch, and I know he's keeping an eye on that. Of course, he played his hockey there, Matt Robinson, a long time ago, so I'm sure he's keeping an eye on that. It's a good game down the stretch. For Alex B. Smith And for Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you tomorrow on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.